Hi, let's take a closer look at the 4 unities. This chart shows the 4 unities of ownership by comparing tenancy in common, joint tenancy, and tenancy by the entireties in a side-by-side fashion. The 4 unities that you're looking for in the different types of ownership is the unity of the same time, on the same deed, undivided possession with an equal interest in the property. So both joint tenancy and the tenancy by the entirety have 4 unities of time, deed, possession, and interest. So let's look at and compare what's the same and what's different about these 3 types. So on the far left, we have tenancy in common. In the middle, we have joint tenancy. And on the far right, we have tenancy by the entireties. So tenancy in common is designed for 2 or more people, as is joint tenancy. Tenancy by the entireties is exclusive to married couples, so it will always be for 2 people. Now, joint tenancy and tenancy by the entireties, remember they both have the 4 unities. But what's different about tenancy in common is that you could actually take possession of the property through a deed at a different time than the other owners of the property. It could be at the same time, but it can also be at a different time. So therefore, it could actually be written up on a different deed. Again, just like joint tenancy and tenancy by the entirety, the ownership deed could be one deed where it's stating out all the names of the owners, but because ownership could be taken at different times, it could actually end up on different deeds. The one thing that is the same for all 3 of the ownership types is that they're all undivided possession. It's never, well, Tom, you take the top 40 acres and I take the bottom 40 acres, but we own the whole thing together. No, it's if you own this property, you have the right to use all 80 acres because you're in joint ownership of it. That's called undivided possession. Now, with joint tenancy and tenancy by the entirety, you have equal interest. It's always going to be 50-50 if it's 2 people, 33% if it's 3 people, etc. 25% ownership if it's 4 people, because it's always equal. Tenancy in common, on the other hand, allows for that ownership interest to be unequal. One of the biggest differences then is you will see that tenancy in common on the left there has no right of survivorship, whereas joint tenancy in the middle and tenancy by the entireties on the right has right of survivorship. So What that means is that if you own the property as tenancy in common, you can actually will the property to your heirs. But if you own the property through joint tenancy and tenancy by the entirety, that means that if you were to die, instead of the property going to your heirs, it's going to spring back and belong exclusively to who the remaining owners are in the property.